Coming up next on the Conscious Courage podcast.
In this year, I involved myself into so much that I actually experienced somewhat of a burnout. But I'll just start off with the beginning of the year. I was in a military course, and so my day from 8 to 3 was in a military course. So I was still getting up around 5 or so. I'll work out, I'll join an accountability call, I'd go to school, and then after school, my transition was for me to do whatever I needed to do for the investment that I made in myself, which was a real estate mastermind course. So I would deep dive into that maybe until 10 o'clock at night.
Good morning. Welcome to the Conscious Courage podcast, and sing it with me. Happy Motivational Monday. I am your host, Davone'a Tashae. I meet with you all every Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to provide practical steps toward our inner healing journey, or what I've coined internal glow up. Whether you're here as a first-time listener or returning, thank you for tuning in. The team and I are grateful to every subscriber via YouTube and every listener via Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify. With a special shout out to all of our IGU babes keeping up with us on social media on all platforms at CC Podcast with DT. Y'all are locked in, and we are too hyped to have you here, all right? Now, ensure to listen on through so you can receive those practical steps as well as any announcements that we may have. Let's dive on into today's episode.
Hello and welcome to Stroke of Genius, a show dedicated to celebrating the power and purposes of God in our lives. Join Coach AD as he shares stories of resilience and inspiration, utilizing a passage found in John 11:4 as his foundation. We read, "This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it." Let's embark on this journey together, finding hope and purpose in every episode.
Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's your man, Coach AD. Welcome to this week's episode of Stroke of Genius. I want to welcome back my good friend. I know you guys missed him. My co-host, James LeBlanc. James, man, you just been traveling the world, doing some magnificent things, man. You know, I want to hear about your journey, but I just want to say again, just thank you all for tuning in this evening, whether you're watching us live on Facebook or you're tuning in on Roku TV later on, or on the WBGR network on Facebook later on, watching the replay. In any case, we just want to thank you for joining us. We welcome you. You could be spending your time doing a lot of other things, but you've tuned in to Stroke of Genius, and we appreciate that. I want to thank my Creator, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, my mom and dad for giving me life. And I just want to thank my man. It's so good to see you. You've been MIA for a couple of weeks. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm well. Thanks for having me back. Thanks for letting me come back.
To your unpaid volunteer job.
Almost got fired from my volunteer job. Look, I've been traveling. I've been speaking at different conferences, but I was able to. God has blessed me with the first 2 keynotes I did over the last couple of weeks. I wasn't stammering like that, thank God. But I went down to Savannah, Georgia, and spoke to the folks at the SETA conference. It's the Southeastern Training Association, and that was a great experience. They're great people down there. Wow. It's my first time in Savannah, and it was a great experience. And then the following week, I went down to Atlanta for another keynote at a luncheon, which was fun. There was adult education folks, and it was let me get this right, the Training College System of Georgia, TCSG. Okay. And so they were all from all over. I don't know what's going on in Georgia, but they keep having stuff happening. But they kind of knew each other. The one entity knew the other one, and so they told the other one, "Yeah, this guy." And then the young lady who booked me for Atlanta told me, she's like, "I got people at SETA now, so I'm gonna get the word when you do your keynote." And I was like, okay, well, hopefully I won't get that call. Like, yeah, James, something came up. You know, we don't want you. But I didn't get that call. They had me come down, and it was great. It was a luncheon, which was different because they were eating while I was talking, right? Okay. And I was like, y'all, man, put them forks down.
Was it distracting for you?
It was a little bit, but I was prepared because I knew, she told me ahead of time that it was going to be during the luncheon. Okay. And I was like, because usually when it's a meal, I've seen keynotes at meals, and usually they let you eat, and you might be on like the dessert or the coffee when the person gets up. They had me come right on up. They were serving. I was like, oh, okay. And the only thing that was distracting was a couple of the servers, for some reason, just came and stood in front of the stage and just started talking, right? I was like, yeah, but I just kept, you got to stay professional, you know, because I want to be like, hey, can y'all move? But that would have kind of...
Never let them see you sweat.
That's right. And I kept going with it, and it worked out great. And I sold a lot of books, too.
Yeah, that's good. So I know that was part of the plan, right? That was part of the plan. I was following you on Facebook and Instagram. I was like, that's my man out there doing this thing. I saw people lining up to get your book. Man, that's
God is blessing. He's blessing. And as long as I stay out the way, just pray for knowledge of His will, the power to carry it out, and then let Him take care of the rest.
Yeah, let go and let God. Right?
Yeah. So how's our international audience been?
Yeah, the international audience, you know, we got it's still in play. It's still in play. Yeah. It's been interesting. You know, we had a couple really great guests.
Awesome.
And you know, you would definitely miss. You know, we carried the torch. You know, last week we had Pastor Dondre McGee, pastor at Landover campus of Zion Church, and man, outstanding, right? We just continue to drill down on our theme of purpose, right? And just, you know, I continue to share that thought that I've shared previously, and I'm going to continue to do so because I believe, you know, we're in a world where people, there's so much frustration, there's so much anger, there's so much resentment, there's so much animosity because I believe, again, like, and we know, like, this month, I believe, is domestic violence month, right? And so, you know, again, like people are frustrated, angry because I believe, again, because they're not living in their God-given purpose and that in their lives are full of all of this just negativity, man. That's coach's opinion.
No, I agree. Yeah. And then, you know, what you feed is what's going to be stronger, right? So when you feed your spirit's stronger. But when you feed your flesh with all that, and that's all we get. That's all the input we get from TV and the music. And I mean, we have our choices to make, but the majority of our options are negative, right? And so we have to be very careful about what we let in.
You ever think about, because we about the same, close to the same.
Yeah. You might got a
couple years. But do you ever think about sometimes this comes to my mind that there was a time when TV used to go off.
TV went off
at 12 o'clock.
You know what?
And they played the national anthem
and then
white noise.
Come on, man. Come on. We just had a moment. I'm an old Gen X. I believe you're a boomer, but you're a young boomer and I'm an old Gen X. So we're about the same.
Yeah, I'm a young boomer at heart.
I remember when the Star Spangled Banner came on and TV went off.
Yeah, and my dad would come in the room with the white noise. Cut this TV off, man. You ain't watching it. But also, too, to that same point is the fact that we only had, what?
3 or 4 channels?
3 or 4 channels, right? I'm like, come on, man. How much TV can you watch? I got a 5-stick TV, right?
Okay.
I haven't migrated to the outdoor TV yet.
Yeah, well, you gotta treat yourself sometimes.
Yeah, I'm still coming over, man. I want some barbecue. And I want to watch the game on the outdoor TV.
With basketball season.
Yeah, with basketball.
Because according to Coach, that's the only sport.
The only sport. Absolutely. But, you know, 3 channels.
Maybe 4.
So I mentioned the 5-stick TV. It's like, it's over 1,000, 1,600 something channels.
That's too many options, man.
There's no way. You know, you can set, I set my favorites. My man taught me, Set your favorites. So out of 1,600 channels, I got like 48 favorites. And that's
okay.
That's
a lot.
That's a lot, right? Compared to 3 or 4,
Three
right?
or four.
Just going back to that saturation of negativity, I believe, because a lot of the stuff that's on is not wholesome stuff.
Right.
Again, no judgment, because I know people trying to pay bills and pay their mortgage and pay their car note and feed their families and so forth and so on. I get it. But at the same time, too, I just look at the world as it is today is not the world that I grew up in. And that, sometimes that really, it hurts a little bit.
Yeah. It was a simpler time, obviously. But that's what every generation says. Like our parents said the same thing when we were kids. Like, these young people, it's not the same. And our kids are going to say the same thing. Absolutely. So it's just a cycle that goes on and on. So
yeah. Okay. Well, as you know, we just wanted to take this time to kind of catch up, and we're going to go to commercial break. But before we do that, I want to give an introduction to our today's guest, Tashae, Davone'a Tashae, and she's going to correct. She'll fix it when I get. I'm so bad with names, but I'm just so excited to have her on the show today. I was a guest on her podcast, the Conscious Courage podcast, which is the title of tonight's episode, is the Conscious Courage, and we talked about addiction and overcoming addiction, and I opened up and I shared with the Davone'a that my journey through addiction and the years of off and on, back and forth, and struggles and things of that nature, and just how now in today's life, just doing things differently, doing things better, living better, still having some, not perfect, but still dealing with setbacks and things of that nature. But I'm just looking forward to having her come on. And so we're going to take a break, pay a couple bills, and we'll be right back on the other side of this commercial break.
Hi, my name is Arsha Jones, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Capital City, and we sell Capital City Mumbo sauce. Mumbo sauce is a standard wing sauce out of the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, where it's traditionally used on wings. But around here, we like to put it on everything. We started Capital City simply because we wanted the product at home. We moved further out of the city and we could no longer get access to all of the great carryouts that had the best Mumbo sauce. So we decided to learn how to make it ourselves. We started off really small and local by honestly selling it outside at Eastern Market. And then we expanded to larger locations like Giant, and now this really great partnership that we have with the Washington Wizards. Check us out online at Capital City Co. and all social media platforms. Be sure to try out our product while you're at the Capital One Arena. One of my favorite items to use it on is the sausage and peppers.
Bold. It begins in your soul. It moves you, empowers you. It comes from shared knowledge, from community. Bold is born at Bowie State University. It's how we prepare students to break barriers and change the world. It's an affordable, world-class education focused on nurturing those ready to take charge. So bring your bold. Visit Bowie State University today, on campus or online. Bowie State University, taking tomorrow
Walmart,
bold.
Partake is a Black and Asian woman-owned brand started by a mom whose child has food allergies and wants to provide those with and without food allergies an enjoyable, delicious snack. With flavors that will remind you of your favorite cookies from childhood, Partake is school safe, free of the top 9 allergens, gluten-free, non-GMO and vegan, but they're not free from flavor. Pick up Partake cookies today in the cookie aisle.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's your man, Coach AD. We're joined on the set with our special guest for today, Davone'a Thank you so much for joining us. Now, I gave her the honor and privilege of writing out her bio, so I'm gonna do my best since I've jacked up her name to do her some blessings with this introduction. But we are honored to have a truly inspiring guest. She is a dynamic health and wellness transformational coach focused on helping individuals unlock their internal glow up through mental and emotional healing. As a passionate advocate for mental health, she hosts her own podcast, the Conscious Courage Podcast, diving deep into conversations around emotional well-being, personal growth, and spiritual resilience. In addition to her coaching and podcasting, she brings over a decade of executive level experience in both the military, thank you for your service, and federal service. She's also a successful real estate investor. Ooh, oh my God. Expertly balancing multiple ventures while empowering others through her transformational speaking. Whether it's through her journey of continued growth, her entrepreneurial pursuits, or her mission to help others live authentically, she embodies the courage to heal, lead, and inspire. Wow, you gotta live up to all that. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank
Absolutely.
you for having me
Yes,
this
man.
evening. Past my bedtime, y'all. Okay. How are y'all doing?
You're doing great. It's good to have you. So we mentioned the podcast, and you were gracious. It's just so small world, right? We were both on a podcast training platform. She put out a post and said, she was looking for someone that was like in the realm of addiction, right? Recovery.
Yes.
And so I immediately, as soon as I saw it, I hit her. I double checked. I said, let me make sure I got the address. I DM'd her, hit her up, and that's how we first connected. And then she invited me to come on her podcast. We taped the episode back in the summertime.
In
May, right?
Yes.
And it aired this past Monday, September 25th. She did an outstanding job. Thank you so much. And I just appreciate the opportunity because I've been very careful about sharing my story. I mean, people, my inner circle, of course, know my story, but I've been very careful because I've experienced individuals trying to use that against me.
Okay.
In some way to get, ahead or whatever, promote themselves. So I want to thank you for providing your platform to allow me to share my story. So,
I thank you. I thank you for your willingness to be transparent because, one, entrusting me, but also being transparent because we were talking and there was something you said and I was like, I wasn't going to say that one right there now. And he was like, no, it's okay. So thank you. I appreciate you. He did. Yes.
So tell us, share with us as well as the audience, the impetus behind the courage.
Oh, that's a good word.
Conscious courage.
Okay, the impetus. Let me go to Google real quick. Make sure that I cover the bases.
I'm an educator, so
on the impetus.
You define that word for me?
Right. Can you use it in a sentence? Again. So, the Conscious Courage podcast, I started content creation maybe around like 2019, 2020, primarily focused on Bible study.
Wow.
And then I transitioned to content creation and I coined it Internal Glow Up. But in doing the course, let me explain the internal glow up piece.
Yeah, explain that. I like that.
Yeah, you like it?
Glow up.
I'm about to trademark it. Okay. But the internal glow up is all about us focusing on what's going on internally. I think we spend a lot of time, women, hair, nails, lashes, men wearing hair pieces, and all these different things.
I've been looking into that. No, I'm just kidding. The man unit,
the man
what they call it?
You want a little man bun, But I think we should focus more on what's going on internally. Where are we at mentally? mentally? Where are we at emotionally? You spoke off camera about that, the inner child. Where are we at and how are we healing in that? And I didn't see anybody in this space focusing on our internal glow up, if you will. Everyone was mentioning, oh, I was ugly when I was younger, and look at me now, I've grown up. Okay, but that's all external.
External, yeah.
And then going into the podcast course and just trying to figure out a catchy name, and I'm all about awareness, and so I was like, ChatGPT, you know, if I'm being honest. Right. This is what I'm looking for. This is my message. What do you think? And it pushed out a couple names, and I was like, conscious courage. That's what I'm gonna go with.
GBT is pretty.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Don't sleep on it.
Do not sleep on it. I use it as a little assistant.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Figure out my schedule for me.
That's what. Someone suggested that same thing. Like, make it your virtual assistant. Like, and so, I find it very helpful as well. And so, you launched a podcast. I know we talked about, I mentioned to you before, one of the things we talked about, of course, is purpose. Yes. We'll come back to that. But the other thing in reading your bio, the word balance. Yes. And I shared with you that I recently did workshops for a women's conference up in Chicago. And that was one of the workshops that I did was work-life balance. And the title was Workshop Balance, Fact or Fallacy?
Oh, okay.
Question mark.
Yes.
And that, I mean, it was
I don't know. I think your work and your life are so intertwined. I don't know that I don't know. There should be a distinction, but I think a lot of times it's all the same day, you know? Yeah. So help me.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure when I could jump in here. Because y'all drop gems, so I was like, I'm going to sit back and listen. So I actually like to say it as a life-work balance. Because when we put when you say work-life balance, you're putting work first. Whereas when we put our life...
That's good.
Amen?
That's good. No, we can park right there for a minute. Because we always say work-life balance. Yes. We never say life-work balance. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. And so I think if we look at it from a life-work balance, we will automatically, subconsciously learn how to put ourselves first and practice that self-care.
Words matter.
Words matter. And so one of the ways that I practice self-care and I had to learn so I can maintain balance was I have my set day, which is normally on Thursdays. And I'm not answering my phone. When I was in school, I didn't do schoolwork on that day. That was my day to do whatever I wanted to do. And sometimes that looked like coming home and going to sleep. Sometimes that might look like scrolling through Instagram because I really didn't give myself that space to just kind of decompress, if you will. But that's how I found my balance, by having an intentional day that was just for me.
Okay.
To have that life-work balance. And then, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And then to have boundaries at work. So I had to learn that when it's time for me to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. When it's time for me to go to lunch, go to lunch. Like,
because I asked
really
for permission. No, I was not go to the bathroom.
Because I'll sit there 3 hours straight and I'm like, oh, I really need to go, but I want to get to... No, just break away. The work is going to be there. So you have to have that awareness, that consciousness.
Yeah, I love it. Go ahead.
No, I think when you first broached this, that's a good word, broach this.
There you go. See, I gotta bring my vocabulary out now. SAT words, right? You know, it's the
commercials. I'm gonna find some words.
Impetus. So I'm gonna broach the subject. We're off the rails. We're officially off the rails.
It's okay.
But no, I was sharing how I remember I was sharing in 2020, right before we all went inside the pandemic. I got a big job, right? I got hired as a director of, the adult and youth WEOA services. It's workforce development stuff in Montgomery County. Big job, huge pay raise. I mean, life-changing. But the anxiety that came with it, I never knew that anxiety was a real... I was like, anxiety, man, go take a walk. Go take some deep breaths.
Get over it, right?
No, anxiety is a real condition. Like, I could not take a deep breath. I was having like little mini panic attacks.
Wow.
And so I had to learn, and I didn't get any counseling videos. I wish I had, but I was like, when this... At 4:30, I'd stop at 4:30. At 4:30, everything shuts down. I got right on my treadmill, ran a mile or two, and just got out of work. And even before that, I used to work for a nonprofit, and I had a boss who loved to send evening and weekend emails with urgency on them. And I remember the one time, and I shared that. So the one time, I was like, because I was kind of new in the professional world, and I was like, it was a Saturday, I was with my family, this urgent email came in, I was like, I ain't gonna answer it.
You had to fight it, huh?
And they probably gonna fire me. And I said, no, it was hard. You couldn't believe how hard that was. And I didn't answer it.
Good.
And I was like, okay, let's see what the fallout's gonna be. And nothing, whatever, it got resolved. I never heard anything else. So I was like, oh, you can do that. You don't have to answer every email. So yeah, you have to set those boundaries. I took a long time to say, yes, I agree. Boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So just real quick then, with all the things that you have on your plate, the different things that you're doing, living in your purpose.
Yes.
I am going to assume that you're living in your purpose.
Yes.
Right? But I say that to say, like, when you think about balance, how do you go about doing that? How do you structure your life, your day, your tasks, whatever it is that you need to do in order to complete what you need to complete, if that makes sense?
It does, and that's a great question, because in this year, I involved myself into so much that I actually experienced somewhat of a burnout. But I'll just start off with the beginning of the year. I was in a military course, and so my day from 8 to 3 was in a military course. So I was still getting up around 5 or so. I'll work out, I'll join an accountability call, I'd go to school, and then after school, my transition was for me to do whatever I needed to do for the investment that I made in myself, which was a real estate mastermind course. So I would deep dive into that maybe until 10 o'clock at night.
Ad break. Are you seeking an electrifying speaker to ignite transformation in your audience? Well, look no further. Hi, I'm Davone'a Tashae, real estate investor, Air Force veteran, and host of the Conscious Courage podcast, where new episodes are released every Monday, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time via YouTube and all streaming audio platforms. I specialize in delivering impactful keynote speeches that inspire change and elevate your minds. Whether it's a virtual gathering or an in-person event, I bring passion, expertise, and a unique delivery to every arena or every environment that I'm in. Let's captivate your audience together and create an unforgettable experience. Contact me today to book your next event, and let's embark on this journey of transformation, or let's get all of your attendees on this journey toward internal glow up. You can book me via my website by going to www.davoneatashae.com. I'll spell that for you. It is www.davoneatashae.com. I look forward to connecting with you. Take care.
Okay, not a lot of balance, but I was getting after it. Transition, when it was time for me to come back to my real life, which is I work full time as an executive. I also serve in the United States Air Force Reserve. Then you add on top of that podcast host, and you add on top of that a real estate investor, and I'm managing my own properties. Whoa. How am I going to find this balance? And so it's having those set dates and having those set times for me. So for the podcast, okay, well, let me go ahead and record on Saturdays as much as I can, and then start to push it out to the gentleman who helps me edit my stuff. Okay, for real estate, I'm just going to deal with it kind of as it comes up, if you will, but I don't have a set date for that. For the most part, they don't bother me. I'm not going to bother them. And then work, I have a set schedule. But I must say it's different for me also because at this moment in life, I am waiting on my king to find me. Thus, I have a lot of time, whereas someone that's a mom or a father, a husband, a wife, etc., they might have to shift their schedule around their responsibilities and their duties that I don't have to focus in on right now. And it is. And so to them, I would just simply say, sit down and look at what your schedule looks like and figure out what day or block your set times out where you can do X, Y, and Z. So time blocking. I'm saying a lot to say time blocking and day blocking.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, it's just this week, not past week, because it's just Wednesday.
It's only Wednesday, yeah.
I'm blaming on the stroke, but no, actually it was last week. But I was talking to a young lady, senior. I'm an educator. I work in a high school, 9th through 12th grade. I was talking to a young lady, and I've always kind of, even going back to last year when she was a junior, admired her. She was a what do you call it? Honor.
Undergrad?
Honors in this high school. So,
okay.
Like, she did honors or whatever.
AP?
Yeah, AP, yeah. But it's just very on the ball. Like, she was tutoring other students in math.
One of those, yeah.
Yeah, but just really, just a confident young lady, but just very humble at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I was talking to her, and she was saying how she time blocks. So I'm like, how do you do all this stuff? Like, she's a National Honor Society. That's
yeah.
I'm sorry, it escaped me,
Yeah.
But I was like, here this young lady is saying how she, and I said, well, then what about, like, she says she does the same thing for the weekend. Like, there is no time that she leaves unaccounted for.
Okay.
And I'm like, wow. She says time for her chores, for her fun time, for her study, And I was just blown away because I was like, what was I doing there?
That's a whole other show. What we was doing in high school.
Show, yeah, for sure.
They just gave me my diploma. Like, yeah, man, gone, man. Yeah.
But I was just really amazed that a young person, right, that is just like that aware, right? We talk about awareness, just being that aware of what it takes. Because she went on, and I don't want to belabor the point, but she just went on to say, like, I guess, a family member or a good friend or whatever, like, this person, like, works, like, and they put all this effort and energy into work Monday through Friday. And so then the weekend is just my time to just let loose and hang out and do whatever. And she was like, I don't want to live my life like that. And I was like, whoa, made me pause.
But I understand. Well, first, let me say this, because in everything that I outlined, I did not highlight, our Lord and Savior, my King of Kings, my Lord of Lords, the Lord of Armies. I also have to make my time for Him, which might look like me getting up at 4 or something in the morning so that I can pray. It's intentionally recognizing, like, wait a minute, when the last time I abstained from some food? Let me go ahead and go on a fast and really dedicate myself in prayer and worship. So, Father, forgive me. Okay, yes, I have to make sure that I spend time with the first man who has my heart. But also, there was somewhere else that I wanted to go, and I can't remember. You know what I'm saying?
It'll come back.
And it isn't the stroke thing, so it's the lights. It's the lights.
You're going to blame it on your stroke.
Yeah, blame it on that usually happens on this set, right? We always we throw something out, and it comes back to mind, right? So what we'll do is, with that note in mind, we're going to take a break right now. We're going to pay a couple bills, take this commercial break, and we'll be right back to talk to our guests some more. We're just so good, just so happy to have you. My God. Thank you.
As a food blogger, I've had a lot of burgers. But you know what I always come back to? Fuddruckers, my favorite since like forever. They use legit ingredients that always let me create my crave. I'm gonna mix it up today. Let's get crazy. Perfect. And the only thing better than how they look is how they taste. 100 likes.
For more than 150 years, Morgan State University has positioned its graduates to grow the future and lead the world. Morgan students receive a world-class education, engage in meaningful research, and uplift their communities. Over 126 programs conveniently available online or on Morgan's beautiful campus. Designated the national treasure, there's something for everyone. Pursue your purpose, progress in your passions, achieve the promise of career fulfillment. Your Morgan experience awaits. Choose Morgan.
Sports is what we do. It's the fast track at peak speed, moving across the ice, blockers, hitters, B-team, beatdowns, and knockouts, doubleheaders, playoffs, touchdowns, smackdowns, on the mat or on the track. The spirit of a champion. The triple-double. Make that double front flip. This is what we do.
And we're back.
Hey,
to Stroke of Genius, guys. Oh, man.
pretty lively off camera.
Yeah, we were having some deep conversation here off camera.
Y'all need to come when we're off camera.
Right.
No.
Just keep the camera rolling.
Yeah, just keep.
So before the break, Davone'a, we were talking, talking about balance, but then also too, I mentioned purpose. And so when you hear that word purpose, because that's been our ongoing kind of sub-theme, I guess, throughout since we started our broadcast, is just trying to understand like purpose and what does that mean? Because I'm sure it has a different meaning to each individual. And then did you hear, this still small voice God said, I want you to do this? Or how did you come about, your life's purpose?
Okay, that's an excellent question. So I look at purpose almost twofold, right? So first half, I'm going to go and bring up the Lord. My purpose is to praise and to worship Him and to glorify Him and to share and spread the gospel, and then also to bring my brothers and sisters in as well, right? And in Luke 6, it mentions how God has us blessed. He has blessed and anointed us to speak to the poor, has also blessed and anointed us to speak to those that are broken and that are bound. So that is a part of my purpose. I have to speak to those so that they have that internal glow up. That's that piece. But then the second half is, well, what comes natural? What are my gifts? And I think that what our natural skills are, if we dissect it, we can kind of figure out what our purpose is. So just a couple of skill sets of mine. Okay, and that is I enjoy speaking. Okay, here we go. I enjoy talking. Yes, and so I look at
Where's the impetus of that come from?
Emancipation. Okay, emancipated. So I'm a communicator, and then I'm able to bring a diverse group of people together, and it works out well. Well, I'm a collaborator. I enjoy event planning. Okay, well, I'm a visionary. I also, what else is there? There is something else I can think of, but it's not coming to me right now. But if I put all of that together, I'm kind of like at that area where I'm trying to figure out the collaboration, the visionary, the event coordinator, the person that's willing to go out and speak. Okay, now how can I put this into my purpose? Well, right now I'm using the podcast. Okay, but what is the podcast doing? That's bringing the word of God. That's bringing awareness. That's bringing education to the people. So I'm still at the beginning set of my purpose, but if I want to say that my purpose is to uplift the Lord, but also to like educate. Educate people in a sense of like no judgment whatsoever. We've shared off screen how, and as well as on screen, how you both shared, you were a little hesitant on sharing some of your experiences, but there is so much liberation, emancipated, so much liberation in sharing y'all's stories, liberation. And there's parts of me that people don't know that I've experienced from growing up, and even something I experienced within the last few years, but that allows me to kind of connect with a little bit of everyone, and I think when I look back on some of my experiences and what I've seen, that is a part of the purpose, and that God wants me to share that so that I can connect with everyone and hopefully bring them that freedom as it's spoken in Luke.
Amen. Yes.
So, yeah, that was a long answer.
No. Yeah, no, that was beautiful, and it really it affirmed kind of what Pastor Dondre and I talked about last week, was just the fact of the idea of knowing yourself, knowing who you are, knowing your gifts, right? And it doesn't always necessarily come. It doesn't just come, right? Like you don't it takes some exploration, right? It takes some willingness to understand that I have been gifted, I believe, and then I also then have a duty, right, to my God to serve and work in that gifting that He's provided, that He's freely given me.
Freely, without repentance.
Right? Yes. Oh man, that's just powerful. So I just came across something. But tell me, where are you from originally?
Oh, okay. I'm happy you brought this up. So I'm from California. Hey.
What?
Yeah.
Me too.
What part?
The Bay Area.
Where? Oh, okay, okay. So my mother's side of the family from Oakland. And my father,
town?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Listen, don't do that.
Okay, there's a lot of other names, but
I've been delivered. Okay, the town. And then my father's family is all from LA.
Okay.
But he
the other part,
in SoCal.
Yeah.
In SoCal.
That's a whole other state.
Right. In itself. They separate.
Yeah.
But I've moved around, which goes into my ability to kind of connect with a little bit of everyone.
Okay.
So I grew up in California and I've lived in Georgia, South Florida, and now up north. And then I was stationed for a little bit in Colorado. So every now and again I would fly in and out of there. And then I've been out of the country and whatnot and visited.
Nice.
Yeah, sometimes you might hear a little southern twang because I'm really Georgia in my heart, but born and raised in California.
Okay. See, that's why I see it click, right? You see it click because I said,
Where you about to throw it? I hope y'all don't play They Not Like Us, okay? Because I'm still getting delivered from that song. I said, Lord, I'm not going to dance to it anymore. I promise. I will not dance to that song.
Sometimes you just got to pop out on them.
Oh, next question.
Nah, that's good. Nah, I started, that's what I said. My girlfriend Tim always calls me the connector, right? Like I have this, I don't know, gift of like just collaboration, right? I think it's real, but it just like ping. My brain is kind of something must have the brain cell must have reconnected in that moment, right? Because I knew it was some connection here.
Yes,
but just going on before we get too deep into the woods and the weeds and everything, though, I do want to talk about, just the whole idea of addiction. Like that was your, my purpose for being on your podcast, and what a great episode I believe it was.
Yes.
What I'm not going to use impetus. What propelled you? Like, what is it about addiction? I guess everyone, we fighting a lot of things, right? A lot of demons in our lives, right? Yeah. Some of us, I guess. Some of us walk on water. I don't know. But
everybody got something. Everybody got a little something.
Yeah. But like, what was it about that particular topic that?
So, great question. Yeah. And
you're bringing the questions together, boy.
Okay.
He didn't
send me the questions or nothing, so I have to actually think.
That's off the dome, too. That's the original AD.
Right, the original. So my first time talking about addiction was during my time of content creation. And I just felt like I didn't do service or do the topic service. What brought me to that topic? I don't have an answer, but in the military, we can't say we don't know. So I'm going to give you an answer anyway. And that is, I have family members that still battle addiction. They still are battling with crack addiction. I have a grandmother, gratefully, she has been clean and sober, if I'm not mistaken, 18 years.
Wow.
And
Praise
so,
God.
yes. And so I have that, not experience per se, but it's been around me and I'm aware of it. And I just don't see where anyone is talking about it. I see where people want to talk about BBLs and the external things, as I mentioned earlier, but who's talking about that in the inner child? Who's speaking of addiction? Who's bringing the awareness of, hey, there's actually something psychologically going on with this person here, and they can't just stop like this. Who's talking about the withdrawals and the various forms of addiction? Everything may not be alcohol and drugs. I have an interview that I just released on Monday, and it's a woman sharing her, Nafia Reed, sharing her story about her addiction to food. But it all stemmed from her watching her family go through and battle addiction and then being adopted. So she just had a connection to addiction throughout, and just so happened her choice was food. So I just wanted to bring awareness to it.
Right.
Yes,
right. No, that's awesome. It's been, journey, man. My journey started long ago, man. I grew up in the 60s. So I say, I shared with you, like the era of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So it was almost, for me, it was almost like it was something wrong with you if you didn't partake, because that's what everybody did. Like, it was the open air drug market. You could go, you knew where to go to find X, Y, Z. You knew what neighborhood to go, you knew what neighborhood not to go. So forth and so on. So
I'm from Berkeley.
I'm from Berkeley.
No. Well, when I said Berkeley, she was like, oh.
I lived in Berkeley.
It's a Cali thing. Yeah, I'm based there. It's a Bay.
Yeah.
We're like the little brother. Oakland's like the big brother.
Berkeley a little something.
Yeah. But no, I wanted to, because you said you didn't have that direct experience with addiction and everything, and that's one of the things that I talk about in my book, that people have said, people who have, family members or people close to them, because I talk about when we're caught in the throes, that's a good word, the throes of addiction, we affect everybody around us, right? So we're not just in a vacuum, which we think we are, but we're not. We're affecting all of our loved ones, even if we're not like asking them for anything or stealing stuff. They're wondering where we are. Are we okay? Are they dead or alive? Like, I disappeared for the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Like I was. People didn't know if I was dead or alive for like the 90s. You know what I mean? So, and I'm thinking, well, I ain't hurting nobody. I'm just doing me. But no, they were worried about me. So it touches. But the thing that I mentioned in there is that people think that we're choosing the drug or the food or the gambling or the shopping or whatever the addiction is, however that looks like on the outside, over them. And it's like, choice isn't in it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like I said, well, should I go to my family's house or should I go? It's just the drug or the drink or the shot, it just takes over and it becomes your master and you just follow it wherever it tells you to go. And that kind of has helped some people to realize, so there's nothing I really could have done. You know what I mean? Because family members, I don't know if this has been your experience, you're like, well, what could I have done? Could I have done something different? Could I have helped some kind of way? There's nothing you can really do until they're ready.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
That's good.
Yeah.
Until they're ready.
Well, I think this is a great time right now to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. And we're going to let you have the closing words and share anything that you would like to share as it pertains to your entrepreneurial endeavors. And of course, you can drop the information about where we can find your podcast and so forth.
Perfect.
Sound good?
Yes, sir.
So we'll be right back after this commercial break. Hey, welcome back to Stroke of Genius with your man, Coach AD. We've had, what a great time we've had with our guest, Davone'a. Thank you so much.
Listen, I wasn't going to say anything.
Go ahead and say something. Tell me.
Davone'a.
Davone'a. don't know why.
Why did you start laughing?
It just seemed
I was gonna let it go. I was gonna let it go.
But I just want to again thank you for being here.
Yes.
You know, your spirit is just wonderful.
Yes.
It's great to we met online, right, on a Zoom and now to meet you in person, face to face. It's just been really a great blessing and experience. And so I want you to have the last word. Leave the audience with any gems, any profoundness that you have. And then also share with us how we can follow you on social media and also, where we can find your podcast as well.
Okay, perfect. Again, he did not tell me anything in advance, so I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Amen. No, just kidding. So, first and foremost, where you can find me on social media, the Conscious Courage Podcast, available on Instagram, as well as TikTok and all audio streaming platforms. That is Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and there are some others out there I am forgetting at the moment. And that is at CC Podcast with DT. So that's CC as in Charlie, Podcast with DT as in Delta Tango.
That's a military.
That's the military, you know what I'm saying? Phonetics. And so parting words, first, keep God first. Keep him as the head of your life. Reach out to him. Spend time with him. He wants to hear from you. He says to ask, seek, knock. And if you look at that, the acronym in itself is to ask. The A is ask. The S, which is seek, and then the K is to knock. So don't forget.
Oh, that's good. I'm feeling that.
Don't forget that. Don't do that. Ask. Don't forget that he is waiting for you, especially during this time when we can see there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of murder. And we're only being fed that, and you have to wonder why, which is why it's really important for us to separate and have that intentional time that we block off so that we can spend with him and feeding ourselves the positivity opposed to feeding in the negativity, because it does sink in internally and it does sink into our subconscious as well. And then we start to act out in ways and we don't even understand why. Well, maybe it's because you're over here listening to shoot, shoot, bang, bang, and you watching kill, kill, die. Like, okay? that is why. And wonder, kill, die.
You see kill, die last night?
Come on, every night at 7. While people still awake. But that's what I would leave. And take care of yourself.
Amen.
Take care of yourself.
Amen. Thank you so much. That's good. James, you've been MIA for a little bit. You got, what you got for us as we prepare to close?
That was ask.
That was a gem.
And steal away. Jesus is the best example. He would steal away and have his quiet moments with the Father for hours. And it was good enough for him. And then we need to steal away. That was really good advice and a great reminder to just carve out time with the Lord by yourself.
Amen. Thank you, brother. Thank you for that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we want to thank you for again tuning in to this episode of Stroke of Genius. We hope that you were blessed by this episode, that you find something that's enriching and a blessing to your lives as you continue to move forward. As always, we will keep you in our prayers, our thoughts and our prayers. Honor and bless the Lord, and he will bless you as well. And so until the next time, we'll see you as
I'm in the pose.
You hitting the pose? Okay, you want me to join in? So we'll see you the next time on Stroke of
Bay Area.
God bless. Y'all cutting up on this.
You brought it up. No.
Well, that was the whole point, right? Because I was like, there was a connection, right? There was a we on red for a minute.
So y'all sure on
Genius. SOG. With the original AD.
And let's do
and
it.
little old me.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
We about to start rapping?
I'm trying.
We be rapping? We be tapping?
We're not napping.
We're not napping. I need
we're getting corny.
Disclaimer. As a content creator with a background in psychology and ongoing studies, it's imperative that I note and clarify that I am not a licensed professional. The videos and podcasts I produce are intended for educational, entertainment, and transformational purposes only. While I strive to provide accurate information and insights, it's essential to consult with a licensed mental health clinician or a licensed mental health professional for clinical perspectives and personalized advice tailored to your specific needs. Your mental well-being is of the utmost importance to me, and seeking guidance from a qualified provider is encouraged for any concerns or issues that you may be experiencing.